Now, when I'm working with video, I'm going to switch from bars and beats to time code. We like time code over simple minutes and seconds. A couple of reasons. First, it's what video professionals use, and secondly, it tells us hours and minutes and seconds and frames, and that's more accurate than simple minutes and seconds. So, now we're going to spot this movie. That's the process of examining the movie and figuring out where the sound and the music are going to happen. Sometimes we do that with a director and we walk away from that spotting session with specific instructions about what to do. Sometimes the director has used a temp score to edit to, and because the movie was edited to a piece of music at 131 beats a minute, the director's probably expecting to hear 131 beats per minute back from you. Well, let's pretend we have free reign here. We can do whatever we want. We're not imitating anything, there's no temp score, we didn't get any creative guidance, and we're not following orders. This may never happen again, so let's make the most of this. So let's watch this little movie and see what happens. So some words come on, then they go away, the clock spins, more words, little graphics coming on. If these were news graphics, they'd probably go whoosh. And that's it. All right. There's a philosophy of scoring that says hit every single cue. Every time something moves or disappears, we need a whoosh sound, kind of like the news graphics do these days. And then there's a competing philosophy that says don't ever hit anything. Just write something organic that supports the mission of the movie and keep people entertained, and that's enough. It doesn't need to go whoosh, 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 whoosh. So I think we're going to try for the middle ground here. We're not going to treat it like a cartoon and try and catch every single thing that happens. But, there are some moving titles that look like an opportunity for the soundtrack to pay attention to the pictures a little bit. So I'm going to change my timeline here to this icon over here. And this says insertion follows playback, which is kind of Avid speak for move the playhead to wherever I stop. So let's see how that works. So I'm at the beginning, and I'll stop right there. And if I start again, it'll pick up from there. And if I stop, it'll move the playhead and then pick up from there. And so we haven't really used this much yet, but this is a handy place for it because I kind of want to stop once in a while and take a look at the movie. And without this checked, it will just jump back to the beginning and always play from the beginning. So that's that button there. Now, there is one reason to keep the movie track visible. That's this guy up here, not the viewer, but the movie track itself. And that's that I could use my scrubber tool and scroll through the movie, kind of going back and forth here. And it will allow me to find a specific frame, like where that yellow thing begins, right there. And I do have an option here. I can leave my Smart tool selected, hold down the Control key, that's a Smart key on a PC, and I can scrub the movie that way. Same tool without actually switching to the scrubber. Markers are a very handy way of making notes in the timeline about where things occur. They're different than sync points. Remember, sync points are attached to a clip. Markers are attached to the timeline. So on a regular full-size keyboard, you use the Enter key, way on the far right side, next to the numbers on the keypad. On this MacBook, I hold the Function key, and then I tap the Enter return key. I'm going to hold down Control, find where that timeline starts. So let's begin at the beginning. So I will go to about where that happens and hold down the Function key and hit Return. We could call it Marker 1. The default is Location 1, so we'll call this Timeline. That seems like a good thing to call this graphic. All right, let's talk about absolute and bar and beat. For song markers, you'll want them linked to bars and beats. So if the tempo changes, the marker will adjust. So let me make a bar and beat marker just for grins here, and we'll call it verse. And then I will also make absolute marker and call it timeline. Now, I don't see markers that I just made, and that's because I'm not looking at markers. So there they are. They're kind of on top of one another, and I can show you how to get them apart. I'm going to the transport, and I'm going to change my tempo. And watch what happens to the verse as I change the tempo. So that should help you understand how the ones that are shaped like a half a diamond, or actually like a baseball home plate, are bar and beat markers, and they will move around in the timeline as you change your tempo, because bar 17 has a different place in time as the tempo changes. But absolute markers are glued to a particular frame of SMPTE, and they won't change no matter how you change your tempo. Now, you can move a marker after you make it. I'm going to delete this one, so I'll move him. I can move this marker if I didn't absolutely hit the right spot to begin with. If I'm sick of my marker altogether, I pick him up and I drag him down here into the workspace, and it turns into a little trash can, and off he goes. He's deleted. So I'm going to hold down Control, and I will scrub for the next word coming on, and we'll call this clip SYNC. It's an absolute marker, and I'll say OK. And then I have two more to make here. There's my next one. It's about 10:04 or so. And this one's called markers. And I will just move it to 10:04. I'm watching the cursor up here. That looks good. And then I will make one more, which is called SMPTE code. SMPTE. And he goes right about there. Is this guy in the right place? He is now. But he's got the wrong name. So if I double click on him, I can bring him up and call him frame rate. Okay. Well, we have markers. Let's take a look and see if they're in the right spot. I should have one here, 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 and there. I think we've spotted the movie now. That's the process, is find where something needs to happen, make a marker for it, and then in the next movie, we'll figure out what kind of music works with these markers.